Hi everybody, good news. It's November 2023. Not only this month has the Pocket 3 been released, but now Freewell are making some filters for this camera, which makes this my new favorite camera for making YouTube videos. Let's get into the detail. So I reviewed the Pocket 3 about 2 or 3 weeks ago on Gordon Lang's channel. I'll put a link at the end of this video. So if you want to know more about the Pocket 3, which is a new release, it's dedicated vlogging camera and it's really, really good. Bought one myself. That's what I'm filming on right now. And now Freewell have released a set of filters which enable me to use the correct shutter speed when I'm making these videos. Now, first of all, if you don't know why you would want to use an ND filter for making video, I'll put a complete tutorial at the end of this video. In summary though, you want to use ND filters to control your shutter speed. The Pocket 3 has a fixed aperture of f2, which means that you've got control over your ISO and your shutter speed, but not your aperture. And therefore, if the conditions are too bright, you've got 1/50th of a second and your ISO is at 100, that image will be overexposed. So therefore you need ND filters in order to control that shutter speed. So I've been using Freewell filters for years now. I've made videos and reviews about their magnetic filter system, their filters for the DJI Pocket 1, Pocket 2, and now the Pocket 3. And consistently, amongst all of those products, optically and in terms of white balance, they've been really, really good. Now, if you're a regular subscriber to my channel, you'll notice that I am a bit far from home. This weekend, I am in Dorset with my wife. You might see her lurking in the background in some of these videos. And essentially, it's my 40th birthday. So we've come away to Dorset, Corfe Castle. At the moment, I'm in Swanage and I'm just kind of exploring the area. And what better opportunity than this to take out the Pocket 3 and just travel light. And if you are ever going to be coming to this area, essentially the new pier is here, and when I say new, it's the current functioning pier. And then if you ever look up the old Swanage pier, that's what these legs are. And I've made a completely separate video about photographing these. Essentially you go over there, but there's a lot of clutter there. I'm not entirely sure if that shot is still possible. So why don't we pack up and then we're going to go to a few different locations and I'll tell you in detail a bit more about these filters and how they actually work with the Pocket 3. Okay, I have made it to Old Harry Rocks just in time for sunset, so I'm going to get on with the photography in a bit. Meanwhile, Freewell have sent me the Mega Pack. I forget what it's called, but I'll put a link in the description. This pack here has 14 filters for the Osmo Pocket 3. You can see along the top and the next row down, they are the fixed ND filters. Then you go into the ND and polarizing filters, which I'll show you in a second. We've got a mist filter, which is a quarter strength. And then the final filter in here is a light pollution filter. Now, if you're not familiar with the Pocket 3, let me give you a quick tour. When you switch it on, you'll see the gimbal do its movement thing. And essentially on the front of the lens, I'll take this filter off. There is a magnetic attachment on the lens itself. This is the same as the Pocket 1 and the Pocket 2, and that enables you to put magnetic filters on the front. Now, this one is a polarizer. Now, there is a QR code that comes with the box. You scan that and there's a quick tutorial on using the polarizers. Initially, I thought moving around this little polarizer was going to be very tricky. However, the guidance on that tutorial from Freewell themselves was just line up the two white lines and just leave it there. That's going to be the optimum polarization. Because this is a 20mm equivalent lens, if you add too much polarization, you might run into problems where one side of the sky is darker than the other. So you definitely want to avoid that. So although it is a polarizer, don't consider it something that you're going to have to turn. And all you need to do is just put it near the lens. It'll make a little tap when it's aligned, and it's as simple as that. That is how you put these filters on. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is fiddly. This morning I went out for sunrise to photograph Corfe Castle and I was filming with this, and when you've got very cold fingers, playing about with little filters like this is tricky. But that's not the fault of Freewell. All of the filters are going to be the same size as the lens. If you think about the Pocket 1 and the Pocket 2, I used Freewell filters for those as well, and they were even smaller. So this is going in the right direction. At least the lens and the filters are bigger on the Pocket 3, but it's still very fiddly. There's no getting around that. Now, I tend to put the filters on when the camera is actually switched on because the gimbal stays in place, and you can feel when it's actually in place. If it's slightly twisted like that, you can just give it a little nudge and you'll hear it click. And then once it clicks, you know that all of the magnets are engaged. And you'll see, so this is an important thing to note. So when you switch the camera off and it has no filters on it, you'll see that the camera turns back in on itself to protect it. So what you'll notice is if you have a filter attached and you switch the camera off, it does something slightly different to the gimbal. And this is not just Freewell filters, the DJI filters do exactly the same thing. So when a filter is attached, the camera knows, and if you switch it off, you'll see it turns towards itself and then in the opposite direction. And essentially when the camera is off, the camera is not facing towards the gimbal motor. This is not a problem because when you put it away in the case, which I'll show you now, the camera is still protected. You're still putting the camera into the case itself. But it's just important to note when you have filters attached, the gimbal turns off slightly different. Now, on that topic, I have been using these filters for a few weeks now. As soon as they came out, I've been using them. And one time when I turned the camera off, the gimbal kind of closed itself with the filter attached. So that what happened was, if I take that off, the gimbal was in its closed position and the filter was kind of stuck between here, and I needed something like a piece of grass or something to kind of push it back out again. It's only happened once, but I just thought I would make you aware of that. Now, I've already mentioned that these things are fiddly, but the good thing is that Freewell have thought about that and they've actually created these kind of routed out metal edges. So the idea is that you can kind of get your fingernails in here. This is on the basis that you have fingernails. If you cut your fingernails, then don't expect to be able to get these on and off very easily. Alternatively, you can kind of just get them from the side. But take into consideration, these are very fiddly. You're going to get your fingerprints all over them, which is why Freewell provide you with a cleaning cloth. Keep this in the case that comes with it because you're gonna need this. Another thing to consider, if you buy the Creator Combo Kit, the Pocket 3, which comes with the microphone accessories, that also comes with a wide angle adapter, but you can no longer use that with ND filters. Now, Freewell made a wide angle adapter with ND for the Pocket 2. However, I don't believe that they're making one for the Pocket 3. If you are shooting with the wide angle adapter, which I believe takes it to 15 or 16 millimeters, you're not going to be able to use the correct shutter speed because you can't use that with an ND filter. However, that spot inside the case, which is for the wide angle adapter, it's just a magnetic attachment. So what I tend to do is use this for my Freewell filters. So the one that I was using this morning at sunrise was the ND8 because I needed just a little bit of neutral density. And right now it's very sunny, so I'm using an ND64 with the polarizer. Now, because I've got the Mega Kit, this also includes an ND1000, which is a 10-stop filter. Now, you would never use a 10-stop filter for video. I suspect that this is for photography because some people might be taking photographs with the Pocket 3. It's not something that I would do, but if you're going to use the Pocket 3 for photography, then maybe the ND1000 is something you want to look into. Okay, I'll hand you over to the future me who would have had the chance to look at all of these filters side by side, shot in 4K, all at the same settings, and then we can make a decision actually which of these filters are going to suit your needs.
To see whether the filters have any influence upon optical quality or create a colour cast, I shot the same scene using each of the filters one by one. Here the results can be seen next to the original video without any filter. The white balance was fixed at 5000 Kelvin and the camera was left in auto to adjust the shutter speed and ISO. The Pocket 3 was set to the standard colour profile. I can see that the ND filters with the combined polarizers add a very slight colour cast. You can see the white cliffs behind me have a subtle warmth and my skin tones have a slight yellow tint to them. It's not unpleasant, but it's something that you should be aware of. The ND filters have a similar but subtle colour cast to them. I was very impressed that the camera could even see through and focus through this 10-stop filter, and the colour cast on that filter is no different to the rest in the set. I couldn't see an immediate benefit in the polarising filters when you set them to their recommended position. Therefore, if you were choosing between the polarisers and the fixed NDs, then I would personally go with the fixed NDs. They have a slightly thicker profile, which also makes it a little bit easier to take them on and off the camera. Next, we have the quarter mist filter, which, as you might expect, provides a softening of the highlights and reduces overall contrast. Something you might be interested if you use 4K video and you find the results a bit too sharp. And finally, we have the pollution reduction filter, which is designed to be used at night time and cuts out certain wavelengths of light typically found in the urban environment, hence the strong blue colour cast here in this image. Here is a nighttime scene with the same fixed white balance, and you can see that the filter has certainly reduced the yellow tones present in the streetlights. Overall, I see no reduction in optical quality, the colour cast is very subtle, and if you're shooting in DJI's D-Log-M, then you could easily neutralise that no problem.
Alright, not long until sunset now, so if you're interested, here are the photographs I took here at Old Harvey Rocks. Okay, thank you to Freewell for sending out these filters. If anybody's got any questions, then let me know in the comments down below. And if you're interested in these filters or any by Freewell, I'll put a link in the description as well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.